You're 24 years old with a degree in international relations and a minor in Arabic. You've spent a summer abroad in Jordan. You speak three languages passably and one fluently. You believe in something service or patriotism, or maybe just the idea that the world is a puzzle and you want to be one of the people who solves it. You apply online. You wait 8 months. Then a phone call. Then a trip to Virginia. Then 18 more months of background checks, polygraphs, psychological evaluations, and interviews where people ask you the same questions 40 different ways to see if your answers change. They don't change. You're in. Congratulations. You're a CIA officer now. You start at the bottom. Everyone starts at the bottom. You're assigned to the Directorate of Operations as a case officer trainee. The farm, they call it. Camp Peary in Virginia. Though you're not supposed to confirm that name exists. For 6 months, they teach you tradecraft, surveillance detection, recruitment techniques, how to run assets, how to lie convincingly, how to build a cover identity that can survive scrutiny, how to disappear. The instructors are former field officers with decades of experience. They've run operations in Moscow, Beirut, Beijing. They've recruited generals and scientists and politicians. They've lost assets to hostile services. They've made decisions that got people killed. They don't talk about that part, but you can see it in their eyes when they discuss what happens when tradecraft fails. Your first overseas posting is a small station in a country that doesn't matter much strategically. This is intentional. They want to see if you can handle the work before they put you somewhere dangerous. Your cover is diplomatic, a mid-level position at the embassy that explains your presence and your access. Your actual job is to spot, assess, develop, and recruit sources who can provide intelligence on threats to American interests. You learn quickly that the job is mostly patience. Months of relationship building before you can even hint at what you actually want. Dinners and drinks and conversations about family and politics and sports. You're making friends, except you're not. You're building files. You're identifying vulnerabilities. You're looking for the leverage that will eventually turn a contact into an asset. Your first recruitment takes 2 years. A mid-level official in the host country's foreign ministry. He's not ideologically motivated. He needs money. His daughter is sick and the local healthcare system can't help her. You arrange for her treatment in Germany. In exchange, he gives you copies of diplomatic cables. It's transactional. It's also the beginning of a relationship that will define both your careers. 5 years in, you're transferred to a harder target. A country where American intelligence officers are actively hunted. The local security services are good. They follow diplomats, they tap phones, they recruit inside the embassy, turning local staff into informants. Your every move is watched. Your tradecraft has to be perfect because a single mistake doesn't just end your career, it ends the lives of your assets. You run a network of 4 sources. Each one is risking their life every time they meet you. Each one has a family that'll be destroyed if they're caught. You're their handler, their lifeline, their only connection to the country that's paying them for secrets. You meet them in safe houses, and dead drops, and brush passes that last 3 seconds. You memorize their faces, their voices, their fears. You know their children's names. One of them gets caught. You don't know how. Maybe a communications intercept. Maybe a mole inside your own service. Maybe just bad luck. He disappears on a Tuesday. By Thursday, you've evacuated. By the following week, his family has been arrested. You never learn what happened to them. You're not supposed to ask. This is where the job changes. Before, it was exciting, purposeful. After, it's weight. You carry the names of the people who trusted you and paid the price. You carry them in a place that you can't talk about. Not to your wife, not to your friends. Not to the agency therapist who's cleared to hear classified information, but who can't actually help because the weight isn't about what you know. It's about what you've done. 10 years in, and you're promoted to chief of station. It's a small station, but it's yours. You manage a team of case officers. You set priorities. You decide which operations get resources and which ones get shelved. You're the one who signs off on recruitments, who approves meetings that could go wrong, who bears responsibility when they do. The politics at this level are constant. Headquarters wants results. The ambassador wants to avoid incidents. The military wants intelligence that supports their operations. The other agencies, FBI, NSA, DIA, want credit for successes and distance from failures. You spend as much time managing relationships in Washington as you do running operations in the field. 15 years in, you're back at Langley, deputy chief of a regional division. You oversee stations across an entire continent. The field feels distant now. You read cables instead of running assets. You attend meetings instead of dead drops. Your decisions affect operations you'll never see, officers you'll never meet, assets whose names you'll only learn if something goes wrong. The moral calculations become abstract, a covert action program that destabilizes a government, a drone strike based on intelligence your people collected, a liaison relationship with a foreign service that tortures prisoners. You're not pulling triggers or attaching electrodes. You're writing memos and attending briefings and making recommendations that someone above you will approve or reject. The distance doesn't make you innocent. It just makes the guilt easier to manage. 20 years in, you're a senior intelligence officer. The alphabet soup of the intelligence community respects you. You brief cabinet members. You testify before congressional committees in closed sessions. You know secrets that would make headlines for months if they ever leaked. You know operations that succeeded and operations that failed catastrophically. You know about the assets who are still producing and the ones who died in basements. The paranoia at this level is professional. You assume your communications are monitored by adversaries. You assume foreign services are trying to recruit people close to you. You assume every interaction with someone from another country could be an approach. You've been doing this for so long that you can't turn it off. You assess everyone, friends, neighbors, the parents at your kid's school. You look for vulnerabilities out of habit. Your marriage ended somewhere in the second decade. The deployments, the secrets, the parts of yourself you couldn't share because they were classified, and the parts that you wouldn't share because they were too dark. She got tired of living with a ghost. You don't blame her. You barely recognize the person you were when you got married. That person believed in things. This person just knows things. 25 years in, you're considered for the senior executive service, the very top of the career ladder, division chief, maybe deputy director of a major component. The people who run the agency from the 7th floor, just below the political appointees who come and go with administrations. At this level, you're managing crises, not individual operations, but institutional ones. Congressional investigations, inspector general reports, media stories based on leaked information. This work is defensive as much as operational, protecting the agency from oversight that could expose sources and methods, protecting officers from prosecution for actions that were authorized at the time, protecting yourself from becoming the person who takes the fall when the politics shift. You've seen it happen. Officers who did exactly what they're told, who followed legal guidance and presidential findings, who operated within the system as if it existed, and then found themselves abandoned when that system became politically inconvenient. The agency takes care of its own, except when it doesn't. Except when someone needs to be sacrificed to satisfy a committee, or placate an ally, or make a scandal go away. 30 years in, you retire. There's a ceremony, a star on the wall if you've lost colleagues in the field, and you have. A pension, a lifetime of secrets you're legally prohibited from discussing. You sign papers promising to submit anything you write for pre-publication review. You're free to go, except you're never really free. The knowledge stays with you. The weight stays with you. You take a job in the private sector, consulting, security, risk assessment. You're paid 3 times your government salary to sit in meetings with executives and tell them things you learned on the taxpayer's dime. It feels hollow. All of it feels hollow. You think about the 24-year-old who applied online because he believed in something. Service, patriotism, the idea that he could make the world safer. That person wasn't wrong, exactly. The world is a little safer because of things you did, operations you ran, assets you recruited, theaters you helped neutralize. But that person also didn't understand the cost, the marriages that would fail, the assets who would die, the moral compromises that would accumulate until you couldn't remember what you believed before you started compromising. You served your country. That's what you tell yourself. You did necessary things in a dangerous world. You protected American lives. You gathered intelligence that prevented attacks and exposed threats and gave policymakers the information they needed to make decisions. You did your job. The job just cost more than you expected. It always does. Somewhere, right now, a 24-year-old is waiting for a phone call. They've passed the polygraph. They've survived the background check. They believe in something. Service or patriotism, or maybe just the puzzle. They don't know yet what it'll cost. They'll learn. Everyone learns. That's your life in every position in the CIA. From trainee to retiree. From believer to someone who just knows too much. The clearance expires. The secrets don't.